What's up, YouTube? This is Money Mark, and today's discussion is going to be about the language of money. Now, I decided to start this channel with this topic in particular because it's such a critically important thing, especially for working people. Right now, the economy is a mess, right? Inflation is through the roof, and I know a lot of people are struggling out there. And for some people, it may seem hopeless. And listen, I get it, right? I'm in the construction industry. I've been through a lot of ups and downs in this business, and I understand what it's like to go through real hardship, all right? But I still believe that we can all create financial abundance, even working a blue collar job, and that financial abundance is going to give you the options to alleviate a lot of the stress of periods of being out of work, let's say, or even worrying about getting laid off, right? So, this is going to be more of a foundational video. If you're advanced, then you might have heard this stuff before. But I think every once in a while, it's important for us to revisit the basics and get back to the fundamentals to realign ourselves with our goals. So these are the three topics that I want to go into today. Beginning with the lifestyle is number one. Number two, getting the knowledge. Number three, deciding which vehicles to invest in. So beginning with the lifestyle, you have to be very, very clear on what kind of lifestyle you want to live. Listen, some people like the toys, all the fancy things, right? The luxury items. They want the Lambos and all this stuff. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not my particular lane. Me personally, I've traveled all over the world. I like to invest in travel and experiences, not just for myself, but for the people around me that I love and I enjoy spending time with. Those are the type of things that I like to do. All right. So you have to be very, very clear on what kind of lifestyle you want to live, right? Where do you want to live? What kind of home do you want to have? Some people need a huge mansion, Um, I don't need that lifestyle. I'm more kind of along the lines of a minimalist, not hardcore, but I don't need a lot of stuff, right? That's not my lane. Like I said, I like to invest in experiences and travel and staying at the nicest hotels, things like that. That's what I like to do. Okay, so you need to be very, very clear about that. Now, Stephen Covey in the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People talks about begin with the end in mind. Okay, so what that means is decide what that lifestyle is, and then you can reverse engineer that and work your way backwards from that goal. Now, if you're on a 10 to 15, 20-year plan, which you should be, right? You should have short-term goals and you should have long-term goals. If you're on that plan is going to adjust over time because things are going to happen, right? Circumstances are going to change. People are going to be in and out of your life. Some of you may go through divorce, so you're always having to monitor that plan and readjust it. Okay. Number two, getting the knowledge. Right. This is where the language of money comes from. Right. You have to get the knowledge. If you don't understand cash flow, appreciation, depreciation, if you don't understand inflation, if you don't understand inflation, right now you're getting wrecked. I mean, let's be honest, right? I mean, a lot of us are feeling it. Everyone's feeling it. I mean, I don't care what your financial circumstances are, right? But you have to understand this terminology because if you don't understand the terminology, how are you going to take this and grow it, right? That's the whole goal, right? So you have to understand the terminology. And the number one investment you have to make in is, excuse me, is in yourself, right? You are the number one investment. You have to invest in yourself first. And what that means is you have to invest in your education. When I got started on this path, I rediscovered the library. Yeah, the library, right? Who goes to the library anymore, right? So the library, for instance, is one of the most underutilized resources out there, right? My library in particular has an app. I can order the books. I can order audio books, regular books. I can order DVDs, and it gets delivered there. They send me an email. It's that simple. But you guys have to always be investing in your education, right? And that means seminars, workshops, anything, right? That's going to get you the education that you need to understand money, right? That's critically important if you want to be wealthy. And while we're on that subject, right? You have to understand the difference between being rich and being wealthy. A lot of people are just trying to get rich, right? Listen, there's a very, very big difference, right? You want to try to get wealthy, not rich, all right? Rich is that person, and listen, this may be some of you, all right? You're buying the scratch offs every week, you're playing lottery, you're spending a fortune every week on those tickets because you're trying to get rich. You're not trying to build wealth. Now, if you had the wealth mindset, then what you would be doing is taking that money that you spend on that. Let's say it was 30 bucks a week, right? Instead of spending 30 bucks a week, you'd say, all right, I'm going to do $5 on lottery, all right? And then the other 25, I'm going to invest in the S&P 500, right? Or if that, let's say that's all you got, right? Let's say at the end of every week, you only have 30 bucks left over, all right? Let's take a more sensible approach, all right? I'm going to um, spend, take 20, $10. I'm going to put that into savings, right? I'm going to put another $10 in the S&P. I'll put $5 in lottery. And the other $5, I mean, you can do whatever with. I'm just giving you an example, right? Um, Now, this is very, very basic, but I want to try to get your mindset out of the whole get rich quick scheme, right? You know, it, in baseball, you have these home run hitters, right? They're always trying to swing for the fences, right? Well, guess what? The guy that's always trying to hit a home run, he's always striking out the most too, right? So singles and doubles win the game. Singles and doubles win the game, right? And that's going to be the same thing for your finances. Singles and doubles, all right? So try to keep that in the back of your mind. Your education is most important, and you have to understand the terminology, and you have to understand how to grow your wealth before you can do that. All right. Number three, decide which vehicles to invest in. Okay. A lot of times, what happens is people get bogged down in, oh, I think I'm going to do real estate. Oh, I think I'm going to do stocks. So I'm going to get into crypto. All right. Look, my advice is find the one thing that you really, really are interested in. Let's say it's real estate. Okay. For me, that's what I'm interested in. And I got hyper focused on that. Right. And then when I got into that, I decided to niche down, right? Is it going to be single family? Is it going to be multifamily, right? You have to figure that out early on, right? And try to stay focused on that goal, okay? Before you start delving into all these other things, okay? Now, lastly, I'm going to leave you with a couple of things here, all right? At the very least, right? If you're a blue collar worker, number one, you should be maxing out your 401k every year. All right. That's going to reduce your taxable income. For a lot of you, that's all you have as far as deductions, right? You can take the standard deduction and then you have your 401k, maybe you have children, and that's pretty much it unless you have a small business, right? So you should be maxing out your 401k every year, okay? Because what's going to happen is over time, right? If you have that in the best vehicles within your 401k, and and I'll make a separate video on that later on. But over time, you're going to accumulate, quite a bit of money in there. Okay, and then that's going to give you the options to invest that somewhere else later on. So you should be doing that. Number two, a lot of people are sitting on the sidelines right now because they don't know where to put their money. Okay, look, you should be in the highest interest bearing account that you could be in right now. Okay, if you have your money sitting in a checking or savings account and you're getting less than 1%, you are getting decimated. Okay, that is the worst place to be. Right now, there are vehicles, and this is of September of 2024. There are checking accounts that are yielding 4 to 5%. Okay, there are Treasury securities that are yielding around 5%. Okay, there's also USDC, Coinbase is yielding over 4%. So you guys got to have to try to get your mind oriented to taking your money and put it where it's treated best. I mean, a lot of people talk about that. I'm not saying that's not my phrase, but it's very, very true. You have to put your money where it's treated best. Very, very important. Okay. So at the very least, like I said, if you're sitting on a lot of cash right now, get your money into these vehicles where you're getting at least 4 or 5% or better if you can. Okay. And max out your 401k. Critically important. The next thing is the credit cards. Okay. And this is actually going to be the last thing for today. Credit cards. Listen, I travel a lot and I can't believe in the way the economy is because I see people traveling like we're in the best of times. Now, I don't know how that's working out, but my best guess is that people are maxing out their credit cards. Okay. I'm going to tell you right now, credit cards, consumer debt is literally the worst debt that you can have. Okay. You need to minimize that. Okay. Now, there is a way to use credit cards to your advantage, not just for points, but to increase your buying power and maximizing your credit score. Okay. So that you can leverage that into purchasing more assets. That'll be another video later on too. So I'm not saying that credit cards are bad. I have a lot of credit cards myself, but I'm using less than 1% of my available credit. All right. I try to pay those off every single month. So at the very least, if you have credit card debt, you got to start there first. All right. Get rid of that credit card debt. All right. That's number one. Number two, get 3 to 6 months of living expenses saved up. All right. Those are the top two things. Number three, max out your 401k, and then you can get on the path to investing. I hope this was useful. I plan to do more of these videos. This channel isn't just going to be about finance, but I think this is such a critically important subject. And I thank you for your time. Guys, be better.